Yo, 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 we back in here. I'm putting the video on screen. Alright, we about ready to get into this. Let's go. I gotta look for something and I'm gonna do that while the video playing.
Each color in the Power Rangers scheme of colors has something associated with them in terms of their particular behavior. Take red, for example. They are either the most experienced or the least experienced. But at the same time, something associated with them makes them eligible to take on the Red Ranger mantle. Then there's the Blue Ranger, the one who thinks they are the ideal to the lead. And yet, they don't get to lead. But they are the most by-the-books character. But while most of these colors had a specific trope, the one that always remained a mystery was the White Ranger. They had their origin story, and then they would often switch sides, and there would always be a gray area associated with them. Let's take a look at some of the best White Rangers from the Power Rangers franchise, and maybe we will figure out what makes an ideal choice for a White Ranger. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Switch to the Google Fi Wireless Flexible plan and only pay for the data you use. Get unlimited calls and texts for $35 per month for 2 lines. Then it's just $10 per gig for data. You'll get high-speed hotspot tethering, and you can use your data on tablets with data-only SIM cards at no extra cost. Switch to Google Fi Wireless today.
My phone. I got
Trent Fernandez Mercer. We are starting off our list with none other than Trent Fernandez Mercer from Power Rangers Dino Thunder. And there's a reason he is the first. Trent truly stands out as one of the most compelling characters in the Power Rangers universe. Initially introduced as a mysterious figure under the shadow of the villain Mesogog, Trent embarked on an electrifying journey from darkness to light that cements him as a fan favorite. And we all love that story of bad to good, don't we? Some reasons why he stands out as a Power Ranger include the fact that despite being the 5th member of his team, Trent is recognized as a 6th Ranger. Not that special? Wait till you hear the rest. Trent is also the 2nd Eurasian 6th Ranger, following in the footsteps of Eric, the Quantum Ranger from Power Rangers Time Force. His transformation begins when he stumbles into Mesogog's lab through an Invisiportal, where he discovers a Dino Gem that morphs into the Drago Morpher. This powerful device is activated by the cry, White Ranger, Dino Power. Though he occasionally opts for Dino Thunder Power Up, this alternate morph call may be a nod to a song that played during Tommy's Moments. With the White Tiger Zord and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Trent's journey is not without its challenges. Something common with most other Rangers, but he holds the record for being evil for 11 consecutive episodes, making him the Power Ranger who spent the most time under brainwashing or another form of evil influence. The pivotal moment comes when Trent courageously confronts Mesogog, rejecting his father's dark influence. Interestingly, when Trent returned in Dimensions in Danger, his Ranger suit featured a white neck instead of the usual black, a curious detail that fans noticed. This error would happen again 4 years later with Don Murasami in Don Brothers, and we are not pointing out errors. But this detail ended up becoming a major detail in the larger lore of the character. As the White Dino Ranger, Trent wields the Drago Sword, which has the incredible ability to fire explosive laser arrows. He also has the Drago Zord at his command, using the Drago Morpher to control it. The Morpher is versatile, featuring an interchangeable face depending on the Zord being summoned. He rides into battle on his Dino ATV, showcasing his adventurous spirit, and even temporarily acquires the Thunder Max Blaster, which he steals from the Red Dino Ranger. Trent also makes a memorable appearance in Power Rangers SPD during the episode History, where he shares his hard-earned wisdom with the next generation of Rangers. Notably, he was captured on 2 consecutive anniversary specials by the main villain, showcasing the ongoing connection of his story to the larger Power Ranger saga.
Tiger Zord!
Tommy Oliver. Next up, we have someone who definitely prepared us to witness one of the most significant cinematic moments in recent years.
the original
See,
one.
Jason Statham might have kicked the Megalodon in the underwhelming event that was the Meg sequel. But who can forget that one time Tommy Oliver got a reintroduction, and he just roundhouse kicked the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, it might be usual for Power Rangers fans to see something like that, but no one can deny that it was an absolute blast to witness that back then. Now, the entire franchise is riddled with multiple such moments where Tommy Oliver proved to be an absolute badass. But then, there are the various colors he has switched to. The character was first introduced in the early episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as the Green Ranger, but Tommy wasn't entirely clean, considering he had some interesting links with the evil Rita Repulsa, which is something fans of the franchise cannot forget. Now, he didn't become the Green Ranger right away, considering he appeared as an opponent to the Rangers wielding his Dragon Dagger and the ability to summon the Dragon Zord. But over time, he would break out of Repulsa's control and begin his redemption arc, something that was quite beneficial for the Power Rangers, because this guy was a tough deal. One of the most significant moments in the series was when he was accepted by the Rangers, as it proved how much they care for things like friendship and forgiveness. Now eventually, he would get a new source of power through the Saba Sword, and it would bring the ability to control the White Tiger Zord, which was one of the coolest storylines. Later on, he would go on to become the Red Ranger in Power Rangers Zeo, and this would allow us to see some more growth in his character as a leader. Later on, he would appear in Power Rangers Turbo and continue the arc of the badass leader on the front. He would also be someone who shows the idea of growth and leadership in the series as a whole. The character continued to make interesting appearances throughout the franchise, and eventually made an appearance in the Dino Thunder series to bring back his leader and guiding persona to the series. Even though it was one of the finest arcs in the Power Rangers franchise, most of it is owing to the brilliant performance and the iconic lines delivered by the late great Jason David Frank. Can you believe he
Listen, if you've been in a car accident, don't call an attorney. Use this AI app instead. That's what I did, and that's how I got this $140,000 check and
was so iconic? The latest of the Power Rangers project, Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel, brought him back for an amazing cameo where the different Rangers were captured from their own dimensions. Tommy Oliver played a key role in this episode as someone who helped the other Rangers from being rescued from under the control of Lord Draven, as someone who transitioned through a lot of significant moments and eventually appeared with glory. Tommy Oliver stands out, and his entire character could be reduced to the words, "If you're like, you can't be evil."
Ninja spin! Yeah! Ninja spin!
Haley Foster. Now we transition to someone who has a lot of potential, but hardly gets the chance to show that level of character growth by herself. Haley Foster is one of the bravest Power Rangers, and she made her debut with Power Rangers Ninja Steel. Now, even though one can focus on how her taking on the role of the White Ranger after pulling the White Ninja Power Star from the prism is a big deal, considering she became the first African-American female White Ranger. There's a lot more about her that is yet to be explored. The very simple example of her potential is during the attack from Draken, where we get to witness her resilience as she uses her Lion Fire mode to demonstrate her fighting capabilities. There are various moments where she clearly puts herself as one of the key members of the team, even though it would take a lot of time to establish that, even after the Rangers receive their Morpher upgrades from Dr. K. Her Ninja Battle Morpher allows her to use it as various weapons, ranging from a sword, a bow, or even a claw, allowing her to take a significant ease in the battles. However, one of the most unique capabilities was the one where she could call upon multiple of the Ninja Power Stars and use them to perform multiple versions of ninja trickery. Now, one cannot deny the level of emotional development her character gets, as evident from her relationship with Calvin Maxwell and how they stick through their ups and downs. But that time when she went for that TV audition, which turned out to be a hoax, and lashed out at Calvin for not being supportive, it had to be something that shows her teenage innocence. While the confusing timeline-altering events were clarified in the end when Lord Draken was defeated, Haley continues to be someone fans expect a lot from. After all, that steel slash from her managed to put down quite a few villains and proved how badass she is.
I never saw her, but I guess
more like one of the only Power Rangers so far who is a mother. Udonna stands out as one of the most powerful sorcerers in Power Rangers Mystic Force, someone who is tasked with protecting the world against the Morlocks. Udonna never let things come between her and the way the world worked around her, and hence, we got to see her as a mother figure to the Mystic Rangers as a whole, even though we would get to see her as someone who generally sticks to spells and combat. It cannot be denied that her work as someone who nurtured and guided the next generation of heroes was the highlight of her appearance. Most of that comes from her affection towards her son Bowen, who was separated from her during the great battle against the Morlocks. Most of her character arc is driven by her maternal instinct, and that works both as a means of her vulnerability and determination. Later on, she discovers that Nick, who was one of the Mystic Rangers, was her long-lost son, and that changes her arc considerably, as she now focuses on claiming her family. While that's most of the motherly instincts arc of her character, there is one particular moment that signifies her arc in the series. During the battle against Hecatoid, she was initially put under a spell and captured to render her powerless while the Rangers tried to battle the enemy. Finally, Lily, Claire, and Phineas come to the rescue as they manage to get Udana's snow staff from the underworld. Finally, we get to witness Udana returning as the White Mystic Ranger. The epicness of the moment is further emphasized as she continues to battle the enemy with her amazing powers, from freezing them into ice to battling them with her staff. Even though the snow staff is an important weapon of hers, she is a lot more than the staff herself, and that is evident from the fact that she is a brilliant sorceress. Plus, she has the astral projection capability that looks pretty cool, even though she uses it a lot to look for her husband, Lianbo. As someone with a lot of responsibility and a family, Udana struck out as someone who could handle the pressure and still become an ideal for those following her. Plus, we are just glad to have a mentor who didn't get that easy in the whole of the Power Rangers franchise.
Being forced to see ads? Getting paid to see ads? Do you know how much of the content you see on a daily basis are actually...
It's morphin' time!
Delphine. It's not every day that a Power Ranger gets an opportunity to appear in some of the franchise's crossover events, and Delphine has appeared in quite a few of them. Other than being the White Ranger for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Alien Ranger, she is a beacon of strength, wisdom, and valor, and all these elements are what contributed to her being the first female leader of the Power Rangers team. Delphine and her teammates were handed the Power Coins way early by the Guardian of the Temple of Power, Ninjor himself. Since she was the leader of the Rangers, she piloted the battle board and the White Shogun, and there's no surprise how she managed to perfectly utilize them in battle, even though the Rangers have water as an essential resource for survival and regeneration. Delphine stands out amongst them as someone who can endure for a longer time without water, and still proves to be a worthy warrior. These Rangers had quite a few opportunities to prove themselves in the series, particularly when they were summoned to Earth for the sake of helping protect the planet at a time when Master Vile had rendered the Earth Rangers useless by converting them into children. Delphine led her team through the various battles by staying at the front line and proving her unwavering support for the Rangers. The fact that she had a legacy was recognized when she went on to appear in the crossover events of the franchise, like Power Rangers Zeo and Power Rangers Super Megaforce. In all these appearances, she would further appear as a leader and showcase her camaraderie with the other Rangers. Later on, she would also be a part of the legendary battle along with other iconic Rangers, and it was also hinted quite a few times that she appeared in this battle in various premonitions. Being the first female leader and setting an example in the natural trend that the Rangers follow, Delphine is an absolutely amazing White Ranger. Her legacy continues to inspire fans, demonstrating that true leadership is about heart, courage, and the ability to uplift others. Through her heroic deeds, Delphine remains an enduring symbol of what it means to be a Power Ranger, and her impact on the franchise is as vast as the waters of Aquitar itself. Alyssa in Relay. Did you notice when Alyssa in Relay morphs, she literally becomes Sai Taiga, her Sentai counterpart, right when the visor drops and that green hue passes over her? Some people say that they knew that, but I had to see that morphing sequence in a loop to realize that. Now, we are somewhat used to the nurturing figure that the White Rangers play in the franchise. The same is very true in the case of Alyssa in Relay. She always looked out for her teammates. No wonder she was able to help Taylor hold her horses at times when she was up for a complete outburst. Right after being the second Ranger to be recruited for the Wild Force team, Alyssa managed to establish this maternal role in the group, squashing conflicts and keeping her spirits up during difficult times, were things she would regularly be involved in. However, her maternal role was not limited to the idea of typical thing, because she would also cook a rather hearty meal for the Rangers before an upcoming battle. Now, let's jump into the aspects where she further proves her badassery, particularly the fact that she is a true martial artist in the group, compared to the others, even though it would be considered dorky. The fact that she rides her bicycle everywhere, the time when she used her bike against the Tire War, when Princess Shayla was kidnapped, proves that her belief that every skill counts makes absolute sense. There are even moments when things could have gone really wrong, but Alyssa's ability to look into people's true motivations calmed things down. When the wolf beast Zen Aku puts his wrath against the Rangers, one of the things he did was capture Alyssa's Elephant Zord crystal, and that really put her in a bad place. But Alyssa didn't give up, and instead looked into matters by herself, and went to retrieve it only to encounter Zen Aku again. But this time, things would be very different between them, as she fought with Jindrax and Toxica, and Zen Aku tended to her wounds. Trained as a black belt in the Enrile Tiger style of martial arts by her father, she brings these amazing skills to the forefront of the battle against the enemy. Using her tiger animal crystal, she can command the white tiger, and she is the only one of the Rangers who wields both the tiger baton and deer clutcher. During her collaboration with the Time Force Rangers, Alyssa showcases her marksmanship with the Chrono Blaster, proving her adaptability in different fighting styles. Alyssa stands out as someone who is a combination of all the ideals that are supposed to be held by a White Ranger, and at the same time, someone who's a strong motherly figure tending to all the other Rangers in her team. After retiring from her role as a Ranger, she tells the story of the Animarium and the Wild Forest Rangers like a fairy tale in her classroom, captivating the imaginations of her kindergarten students. This blend of storytelling and education serves as a reminder that the spirit of a Ranger lives on through inspiration and knowledge.
A major problem that we were facing at Zonos was scaling.
Dominic Hargan is someone who might be very much in leagues with the likes of our beloved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Dominic had a promising future at a very early stage of his life, while being trained by Master Mao as a Pajwok student, but he ended up leaving all that for his own chosen path. This path would lead him to his friends RJ James and Jared, and later, we would find that Jared had fallen to the dark side as Daishi. It would take him to convince the others that he is worthy of the Ranger title, but he would prove himself otherwise when he transformed into the Rhino Ranger, harnessing the powers of his Rhino spirit and showcasing his formidable skills as the Ranger. He would bring superiority in his abilities during the battles. His signature move, the Rhino Morpher Stampede, allowed him to unleash a barrage of attacks on the opponent and make him a force to be reckoned with. It's an important arc, turning into an essential Power Ranger from a prankster with some very interesting developments in his persona. But Dominic proves himself every step of the way. Later on, he would appear in the battle against the Armada, the legendary battle, along with other iconic Rangers. While most other White Rangers stick to a particular trope, Dominic Hargan sticks out as someone who took his time to prove himself, while making sure that solidarity and heroism came out in a given time. SPD, Omega Ranger. No one can deny that hardly any moment turns out to be as shocking as the moment when Omega Ranger's true identity is revealed in the Power Rangers SPD series in the Power Rangers franchise. Sam was one of the most compelling characters in the SPD, owing to his tragic backstory and how he stood through all of that, and became an essential part of the Space Patrol Delta. He was born to parents who had been working on the morphing technology in the SPD, but their experimentations would soon be carried out into him, and they would give him powers. Yeah, Sam was the only SPD member who had powers that involved teleporting stuff from one place to another. He would have a far disturbing fate if Mora had been successful in exploiting him and his powers for her own benefit. Now, Sam returned to the present from a distant future that had been affected by the Trubian Empire, and here he would take on the role of the Omega Ranger. However, time travel had its own effects on Sam, as he could only appear as the Omega Ranger, or another form that involved a ball of light. The powers bestowed upon him clearly made him stand out in significant battles, including both the Hyper Mode, which he could use for temporal manipulation, and the Muscle Mode, which enhanced his strength. Along with all that, he brought some interesting gadgets and experience in battling enemies over the years. Sam would go on to appear in Megaforce and Super Megaforce, participating in a legendary battle where he joined forces with other iconic Rangers to combat the Armada. His involvement in these battles underscores his lasting impact on the Ranger universe and highlights his evolution from a misunderstood child to a celebrated hero.
There's a time for talk and a time for action.
Kat Manx. Kat Manx is probably one of the most popular characters in the SPD, even though she was initially an assistant to Kruger, who was the Shadow Ranger himself, having a sense of purpose dedicated to joining the SPD. Associated with her troubled past, where her home planet was destroyed by the Trubian Empire, Kat was always dedicated to her work and played a crucial role in designing much of the tech stuff for the Power Rangers. But now comes the part that has been something that has bothered most of the fans, and it is associated with whether she is a white Power Ranger or not. She had temporarily taken on the mantle of the SPD Cat Ranger when the team needed assistance. As they went against Professor Mooney, Cat proved herself to be a worthy Ranger based on her amazing combat skills. And even though she had limited time with her morpher, she definitely became someone the team would ask for again when the time came. Using her attacks like the Cat Stunners and the Feline Grace definitely made her a worthy adversary for the enemy. Now, the design of her suit is a mix of white and orange, with the primary color being the orange hues, something that has also been associated with most of her action figures. But later on, we would get to see her being categorized as the White Ranger in the comic books. Even though she had more as the technical support officer to the Power Rangers and Kruger, there's no wonder that she had managed to guide them through tough situations. Yeah, that's something very much in alignment with most of the White Rangers. So, Cat Manx, even though fans will debate about Ranger color, continues to be an essential part of the Power Rangers legacy through her wit and amazing dedication to her work. Marvelous verdict. Now, based on what we have seen so far, it is very clear that being the White Ranger is no piece of cake. From a leader to someone who was picked at the last moment to assist the team, these White Rangers have filled all these holes. However, let me let you in on a fun secret. The White Rangers became heavily popular because of Tommy Oliver's character. Fans poured in with their love for the character, and eventually, White Ranger became a special case in comparison to the other Rangers. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Probably going to include the Titanium Ranger and Zane from In Space. They were Silver Rangers, but very close. They're very close to being, that Ranger.